now with the Marvel Cinematic Universe being almost 40 projects in, and you look back at that second Fantastic Four movie, it was very underwhelming what they could have done with Galactus and Silver Surfer.
Back then, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna hold you. I agree with you. But looking back right now with all the movies that have been presented to us in the movie theaters and all the continuity and stuff, it wasn't that bad now if you think about it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I went back and watched it, and I was like, it wasn't that bad of a movie. It had its flaws. I'm not gonna lie to you. It wasn't the greatest movie of all time, but it could have been better. Like, the script could have been a hell of a lot better. It just felt like it was just too rushed at the moment for this time. But remember, this is back in 2000. I don't even remember when this movie came out. Damn, bro. What are we, like 13, 12 years old? Good God Almighty, this is going way back. But I mean, it wasn't that bad of a movie, bro. Like, we're talking about, like, bro, like, we got a slate of Fox movies because Fox owned Fantastic Four and X-Men. So let's get our facts straight. X-Men 3 was terrible. Last Stand.
What?
You like X-Men 3?
It wasn't bad.
It was terrible, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was terrible.
Correction, 2007. But for what made it bad? Well, I get it. I feel like the Jean Grey and the Phoenix thing was a little bit that was rushed. I feel like it should have been done a whole lot better. But I feel like in those X-Men movies, if we're being honest, there weren't enough action scenes in them for me.
If I can remember, yeah, I mean, there was more killing scenes than there were action scenes, but but the whole movie was based on like this super being that couldn't be killed, and then Wolverine was the only one to be able to survive because of his healing genes, and it just felt weak. I'm sorry, it just felt weak. It wasn't the same as the first two.
That's okay. Well, the first two, just the whole the Century Fox X-Men trilogy. One. What was the second one called? United. X2 United. And the third was Last Stand. All three of those movies, the original three, I feel like they were underwhelming movies as far as the potential of action sequences in these movies.
I mean, I'm not gonna hold you. These are OG movies we're talking about. I'm not gonna knock them and be like they're the most terrible movies in the world, but I mean, it could have been better. It was the worst of the trilogy, but I mean, it's the same thing like saying Spider-Man, like the original trilogy for Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, bro. Like, Spider-Man 3 was the worst of all of them, in my opinion. But going back now and watching it, and kind of like, it wasn't as half bad as when I rewatched the movies. Yeah, it had its flaws, like I said, but I don't know. It's not as. That's the funny part about this movie. Like, we watching Deadpool and Wolverine is how they make fun of these prior movies that originally came out that paved the way for the rest of these movies to be able to be created and be presented through movie theaters and streaming services for the fans. So, going back and thinking about it, like, watching these movies and rewatching them completely in its fullest, it wasn't that bad. It was like I said, it was the worst out of the three, but it could have been worse. I mean, we got worse stuff than that, bruh. I mean, let's think about it. X-Men Origin was great. Apocalypse was okay. And then X-Men Phoenix was the worst of all of them. I think X-Men, when they rebooted X-Men, didn't they have 3 movies? I mean, 4?
You talking about with the younger Professor Xavier and the younger Magneto?
Yeah.
So it's First Class,
Origins.
No, I'm not gonna put that in there because that was a Wolverine movie.
It's still part of it.
I don't count that because you didn't even see Professor Xavier or Magneto in that movie. That was X-Men Origins was more of it was a Wolverine origin movie where you figure out you see how he gets the claws. So technically, it shouldn't even have been called X-Men Origins, if we're being honest. It should have just been Wolverine Origins. Because it just tells his story with Sabretooth the whole time. It doesn't even talk about the X-Men.
True. It was the worst of all the Wolverine movies, bro. In my opinion, that was the worst of all Wolverine movies, and that was the origin story for Wolverine. That was terrible. If you remember, they recasted Sabretooth and they gave Ryan Reynolds Deadpool's character, and if I remember, Wade Wilson, they gave him like what did they do to him? They gave him all his healing powers and all that shit, and they muted him. That was terrible. It was the worst of all three.
Well, okay, so the younger Professor Xavier and the younger Magneto, that was First Class, and then they did another movie that was Apocalypse, and then they had the Phoenix, right? Or am I missing a movie?
Well, if we talk about Wolverine movies, you had Origin, then you had the Wolverine, and then you had Logan.
Oh, we're forgetting Days of Future Past.
Oh shit, yeah, Days of Future Past, but I don't consider that because that was more of an X-Men movie than a Wolverine movie, though.
Yeah, that was an X-Men movie. Yes, I can agree. Yeah. That was definitely an X-Men movie. So, looking back at these movies, X-Men Origins, I kind of liked it.
So let's bypass all this. So let's get straight to the plot. So we got 23 movies if you don't consider New Mutants, because by the time that happened, New Fox, 20th Century Fox just got acquired by Disney and in the buyout. So 23 movies have gone out. If you want to consider New Mutants, 24, but we're not. It's neither here or there. It's not a debate. So whatever. So let's just say 25 movies out of the sake have been played out, right? And then we get Deadpool, the best out of all the franchise of the X-Men. Who would have thought that Deadpool would have carried the Mutants franchise and continued to make a trilogy? And here we are.